You can skip your class, but don't skip the ad.
Hi guys, welcome back.
Welcome back to Don't Skip the Ad, where we talk about unskippable ads. Right?
And this week we have Abdul Sani, Group Chief Marketing Officer of RHB. He has been Asia Pacific's top 50 most influential and purposeful marketer,
And Malaysia's CMO of the year.
marketing trailblazer in financial services.
This is why it came highly recommended from our friends at YouTube. Sani was the brains behind the Best of Festive YouTube Works Awards, Southeast Asia. So not just local, but they won regionally.
Yeah, first Malaysian brand to win Best Festive for YouTube Works Southeast Asia.
And it's an insanely compelling story, and we get the chance to sit down with this great mind to talk about many things. Spoiler alert, from Subang Jaya, when it was still a palm oil estate.
Without further ado, this is Abdul Sani, Group Chief Marketing Officer of RHB on
Don't skip the ad.
So today we have Abdul Sani, Group Chief Marketing Officer of RHB. Thank you for taking time off to do
Thanks
this.
for having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for dressing up. Like, we feel so bad, because like this is our podcast. I guess we can start from the beginning. Where are you from?
Well, I'm actually from Subang Jaya.
Yes.
I just found out that Jarrod is also from Subang Jaya.
47500.
Yeah,
and we had a bit of a short conversation before the podcast started, right? And Jerry kept saying that you are first gen. You are first gen. What does that mean? First gen Subang.
The first house that was built in Subang Jaya, I was one of the earliest occupant. I think
Okay. Now that's really first gen.
Yeah, first gen. So I think that was way back in 1978, where my parents actually moved into Subang Jaya. The place was actually surrounded by palm oil estates, not many houses, but we took the leap of faith that this place is going to be great. And I've enjoyed staying there, and I've grown up in Subang Jaya from ground up. Right, all the way to my secondary school there.
You have siblings?
Yes, I do. I have a younger brother.
Younger brother. So what did your mom and your dad do?
Well, my dad works in a bank, and it was quite ironic. The last bank,
was he a finance side or marketing side?
well, he was actually more in terms of the credit control person. The last place that he retired was, I think, in RHB. And I remember on the days, when he retired, he say, "Oh, son, you should also consider building your career in a bank." And I say, "Flat hopes. I'm not going to follow your footsteps." And I guess God is a master plan.
Yes.
Somehow, one big loop, I'm back to the same place where my dad retired.
And what did your mom do?
Oh, my mom works with an insurance company. So both of them were in financial services. I guess that's where they met. And then the rest is history, right?
You went to school in Subang also?
Yes.
Yeah. What was like young Sani like?
Wow. Pretty rebellious and adventurous in a mischievous manner, right? As I mentioned to you earlier on, I think Subang was actually surrounded by palm oil estates.
Yeah.
So as you know, parents say, okay, kids, stay away out of the estate. Make sure you are always in the civilization space, right? Never go to the estate. Of course, we were little boys with my neighborhood friends. We say, never mind, let's go venture our neighborhood. So we always go to these estates, swim in the pond, cycle up the slopes and stuff like that. So I've always been a very curious person. I think the more you say don't venture, I think it's where I want to find out what exactly it is. If you ask any of my school friends, they will know that I always participate in all kinds of activities.
Okay.
It's almost like jack of all trades lah.
So academically, you also very adventurous. You tried grade A, grade B, grade C, grade D.
Yes, but I was lucky in the sense that I know when was the most serious part in school is during the exams. So I do give equal attention to make sure that I do well in the critical period when you are being assessed. But in between those, I think we live life like a boys lah, right?
Yeah.
We experiment in sports. We join a lot of social activities, just to get a flavor of the world lah. What the world has to offer.
So at that time, did you have an ambition? Did you know where you wanted to go?
Oh, I was as clueless as any other kids out there, right?
Okay.
When you were younger, you always follow your friends, right? So we are like herds, So when someone say, "Okay, I think I want to go and do accounting," or "Let's go, let's venture what is accounting is all about." And that's where I start to explore multiple options. During the school holidays, I work in one of these electrical appliances shop as a salesperson. That's where I was first exposed about transactions. It's about making a sale. It's about engaging with people.
Do you have any core memories?
This is one memory I always keep repeating. Whenever people ask me, what do you remember most when you were younger? When I was actually working in this front desk in this particular electrical shop, and there was this one old man that was browsing through the counter. At that point in time, what I was in charge of was actually selling those Walkman, Discman video cams, those small little electrical appliances. And this guy has been coming to the shop every alternate day. He was browsing and stuff like that. So my supervisor then told me that, okay, this one is just window shopping, all right? So not waste time. I was like, I decided to just go over and just have a chat with this guy, right? Because he has been coming every now and then, and I had a chat with him. So I said, anything that you fancy? And he said, no, I'm just having a look. I said, okay, I'm here. If you need any assistance, I'll be here to assist you. And that time I was, I think, 16, 17 years old. And then later he gathered his guts to say, okay, can you explain me what does this man works? So I spent time, actually, almost an hour plus just explaining me all the gadgets I have on the counter, right? From the video cam, this man, the Walkmans. And the next day he came back. As usual, I greeted him, and of course my supervisor looked at me with his roll-eyed, here he comes again, And he just came back and said, okay, I would like to have 60 of this,
60?
20 of this and this, I said, I was like, I thought I had a hearing problem. And I said, can I repeat what you just asked for? You wanted this amount? He said, yes. I said, why do you need this much of item? Oh, I own a company. It's my employees' annual dinner.
Nice.
I wanted to reward them for lucky draws.
Nice.
So I was trying to shop for things.
Wow.
Then I was like, wow, okay, I'll get it sorted out. Then he whispered to me, I don't want him to open the bill, which is my supervisor. He said, I want you to get a commission. So I want you to open the bill. I said, okay. And the lesson I learned from there was that actually building a relationship does take time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's the willingness of investing your time to know that person. In this case, I didn't know he owns a company, but I only know that he seems to be interested in the items.
Because he's been there like every alternate day.
And he wasn't sure about the technicality of things, whether this is something that the staff would love to have. Then after the transactions all done and stuff, then I was quite curious. So I asked this customer, I say, why did you actually decided to buy from me instead of my supervisor, right? Because I'm just working here. And he gave a very simple explanation. He says that, you had the patience to actually address all my questions. And of course, I know your supervisor didn't think highly of me. He knows from the day one, But he wanted to get those items. And I was patient enough to do this. And therefore, I want to reward your patience for that.
That's what I found very interesting. It's almost like this lesson was meant for you to learn, because this guy came in, day one, he already know. Supervisor don't care, right? Yet he keeps coming back to browse for this. I think it's almost like it's
meant to be.
It's meant to be
for you to learn that lesson.
And I think it was a pinnacle point for me, whereby I started to realize that, hey, actually this professional is quite interesting, right? Because it does involve human interactions. It involves understanding people's psychology. And there's sales. There's real outcome there, right? It begins to pick my mind. It's like, hey, maybe I should just explore a little bit more in this area and see how it goes. That's where the curiosity starts to be a little bit more defined.
So did you study marketing, or what, how do you go from
what did your
60 Walkman sales, top sales Walkman?
Surprisingly, that month I was the top sales guy.
Unsurprisingly,
and it was my first month there. I think after that, I thought, yes, the area of business is something I want to go for. But business is such a broad subject, right? So you do not know where you want to go. Thank God, I did quite all right for my studies. I landed myself in University Malaya, and I got what I wanted, which is actually to do econs. When you study economics, they expose you to many other disciplines, right? So from supply chain, financial management, marketing, and so on and so forth. And I was lucky enough that I got a scholarship from Unilever, who sponsors my degree in University Malaya. And part of that agreement, that I need to always go back to Unilever to do my summer break internship. At that point in time, Unilever was one of the pioneer in terms of having such programs. I took up that scholarship. I have a couple of scholarships that was being offered before I went to University Malaya, but I picked Unilever because of that arrangement, right? That every semester break you have to come back. Versus there are some scholarships they say, okay, I'll give you the money, and I'll see you 4 years after you graduate, right? But in this case, no, I want to see you every year. I want to know how you are progressing in your studies, and at the same time exposing you to different departments in the organization. And that's where I start to understand the dynamics of a company, right? How different facets of functions working together on a common purpose, right? In terms of making the brand or the business successful. I landed myself in a supply chain, warehousing, buying department, even ice cream businesses. And marketing was never the function that they let me do. But it's always the other support functions. After I graduated, I think that's where Unilever offered me to join their management trainee program. And I went there. Quietly, they were observing my performance in terms of my flair, right? Where I tend to be a bit excited. So sometimes, when you give person a project, right? Some project really excites you. And it shows in your
some
face.
things you just like to do, some things you don't, right?
Sometimes you don't. But so, in this case, there are certain projects that they pass it on to me. I seem to be very excited, and I do it well. And they say, okay, let's cut short this management training program. You just join straight to marketing and build your career from there. So the management training program was 2 years, but I was lucky enough for them to cut short to 1 year and landed me into marketing straight away. Right?
That's where it started.
That's where it all begins. I had an enlightenment, right, when I joined Unilever in the marketing side. It's like those light bulb moment, right, that shines on you. It's like, wow, this is the true manifestation of marketing. I got it all wrong before this, right? So I always thought marketing is all about getting sales up. Convince people to buy your market share up. Until one particular project that I was entrusted on is actually related to a hair care category. We were number 2, and of course there's another competitor who is number 1, whom I will not mention. So we wanted to actually make this brand connected to the younger audience, the teenage segment. We came out with this brand activation. We tried to understand, okay, how do we connect with this group of people, right? What is their challenge in life? What can we do to help to solve their problem? Because we believe that people don't buy products. People buy the solutions that you provide to them. So one thing we discovered was the fact that teenage growing kids, especially the girls, goes through a lot of life dilemma. The life of adolescent, there's a lot of challenge, from exams to friendships, boyfriends, and finding yourself, your self-purpose. So we decided, okay, let's do this campaign. So we have this idea, right? Let Sunsilk solve your hair drama so that you can focus on your life drama. Because for ladies, it's always about the hair. So we came out with this mini drama series that centers around the life of this teenage girl. At the end of the series, there's always a cliffhanger, the dilemma, whether she should choose decision A or decision B. And we empower the audience. Back then, pakai SMS lah.
Nice.
So people vote.
So we interactive back then.
Back then. So you just SMS what kind of advice that you should give to her, A or B. All right. Very simple, and the answer will be shown the next episode. So based on customers' response or audience response, then we show the next episode and see what happens.
What platform was this on?
TV.
On TV.
It was on Media Prima, TV3 prime time. The response was great. The ratings was skyrocket. I think it was one of the best rating programs for Media Prima. Not just the ratings, and we start to see our sales coming up. Market share is also going up, and we started to make inroads to the number 1, and eventually become number 1 ourselves. Right. Any marketers would just celebrate this, right? So, yes, we have done something big impact in terms of results and stuff like that. But little that I know, the real reward comes in a different form. We receive a lot of handwritten letters from parents thanking us for coming out with this program and say that, I never know my teenage daughters goes through such challenges in life. After watching this program, we sat down together. We discussed, do you go through this and so on and so forth.
Parents and
so
daughters
parent
were
and child were
talking.
interacting, right? A lot of these letters, they have one common theme. We never had that conversation with our children, not until we discover your program. And now the bond between us is much stronger. And that's where I have a sense of a different feeling, right? Much better than the sales numbers, the market share that I've seen on the report. It says that, actually brand, marketing does much more than just sales, right? It actually changed people's life for the better, all right? And for me, that is the ultimate aim. All the while, we've been busy chasing sales and making sure
you have
that
to
we
hit a certain number,
numbers, right?
KPI,
And that's where I come to a realization that, if you show genuine concern for their lives, the customers will then show genuine concern on your P&L. As human beings, if you do things genuinely, people can sense it rather than being force feeding it.
So how long were you at Unilever for?
I was there for 10 years. Prior to that 10 years, 4 years being their scholars. So if you take that together, it's 14 years.
And after you moved to HSBC,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah.
So what prompted that move?
HSBC knocked on my door and said that, we have an interesting challenge for you to consider. I thought that was quite an interesting pitch. All right. I said, okay, I'm open to hear. They came to me and highlighted some of the major issues that the organization face. So they are an international bank. One of the major challenges they have is they are not able to connect well with the local consumers. And consumers sees them as orang atas lah. All right. So you are a foreign entity.
Yep.
You don't know me. You don't understand me.
You come in with some superiority.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before I joined, I went in and interviewed people on my own accord, almost like an impromptu focus group, and asked people, what they think about banking with HSBC and stuff. And then they say, oh, it's a transactional area. I can't wait to walk out from the bank as soon as I done my job, right? So there's no emotional connection at all with the organization, right? And I thought, hey, this is quite an interesting piece, right? How do I help an international entity get connected with the local community and thrive subsequently, right? And of course, it's a financial services. I've been in FMCG that markets a tangible product.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is something that is intangible, which is actually services.
Yeah.
All right. I said, okay. Interesting enough, so I took that leap of faith and said, okay, I think I can actually help address this issue and see how it goes. I think that's where I start to discover a lot about the organization, about the industry, and also about the customers. And that's where we introduced one of the things that I remember most in HSBC was we launched HSBC's first Islamic banking. It's the first in the world, and it's launched here in Malaysia. So because we wanted to connect with the Malay segment of the customers. So we built a lot of marketing programs that is relatable to them. And I remember a lot of people say, wow, we never have thought HSBC will do this. All right. And then I say, why not? Because we are the world's local bank back then, right?
Yeah.
So being the world's local bank means we understand the local insights.
Yep.
We are able to connect with you. And I think that's where we introduce a lot of first financial products, like for example, a cashback credit card. Back then, it's always about rewards.
Yeah.
They excel quite well because people want immediate gratification.
Yeah.
They don't need to accumulate and be rewarded at a later stage. Launching 26 branches in 3 years is like a sprint. But what we are happy about is that it helps in terms of growing the brand equity, and it became the most profitable
So
foreign bank.
Sunny, I have a question. So you enter HSBC as head of marketing, right? In a bank that does not have that human emotion, they're trying to build that, and also at the same time launching lots of new things. From a marketing perspective, like I imagine there must be a lot of pushback, right?
There is pushbacks
Yeah.
every now and then because I think people have certain assumptions. As marketeers, one of the key attributes that we always must have is always test those assumptions and see whether that holds true or not. And once you have those outcomes, you can use it for a good thing, right? You can actually use that as a case to convince others that it works. I used to have people saying that, oh, we used to do this, it didn't work in the past. But I think in the past is a different kettle altogether, right? The customers has evolved.
Yeah.
So maybe things have changed.
Yeah.
So we should try it again and see how that works.
Yeah.
I always believe that it never assume things, right? Like they say, it makes an ass out of you and me, right? So you have to execute this. When we run a lot of campaigns, well, there is a lot of people who actually doubt whether this will work. But at the end of the day, the collaborative team effort say, let's test it out. If it works, jolly good. If not, never mind, we have another learning,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
There's no loss here, all right? And then we will proceed with that. So I think we always go on that test and learn approach, and that's how we discover the success. I always believe that if you make an effort while you fail, like say, if you fail fast, you may succeed faster,
Yeah.
all right? Because you discover new path
Yeah.
that will take you to that success.
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm jumping here, but then now you are CMO, right, of RHB, where you get to decide on how much trying there is ultimately. Do you notice a shift from then to now where we have less chance to try, or like we have to get things right immediately?
On contrary, since I have the benefit of enjoying two different marketing generations, right? Because back then, technology wasn't easily accessible. I remember back in the Unilever days, there's only one cubicle with internet connection. Right? That shows how difficult marketing is back then, right? But now, everyone has access, right?
Yeah.
Right through your mobile. I believe that the appetite for trials is much greater now than in the past. Because in the past, everything is so challenging, right? It's quite difficult to test. Let's give an example, right? If you come out with any marketing materials like a TV commercial, back then we don't have YouTube as a platform. We have to do animatic tests. That means we come out with a storyboard and then we grab people from shopping mall just to sit down here, watch this and tell us what you think about it, right? Yeah. Because producing a TV commercial is expensive. So you want to make sure you get the right script, the right story, right message before you go to full production. So the process is quite strenuous, right?
Yeah.
It's quite long and it's tiring to a certain extent. But now, YouTube, you put anything out there, you hear reactions from the audience, right? Whether they like it or they don't like it, if they love it, they will share it. You get an immediate response, and the skill is much better than grabbing someone from the shopping mall to sit and to watch it, right? With that kind of an immediate response that you get from your audience, you are able to tweak your strategy. You are able to tweak your messaging if need be, and there's multiple format that you can actually do. So people are much more empowered now with technology. It's much more accessible, and the cost to doing this is way cheaper than in the past. In the past, only big organization can go through such process. Now, even smaller organization can do so. The only challenge that we need to ask ourselves here is whether we have the appetite to try it. We need to challenge that notion that brand is perfect. If you view brand as a person, the person is never perfect. Sometimes you make missteps.
Yeah.
But how do you correct it is the key thing. We experienced once in RHB when we were launching My Siswa debit card for university students. One of the key features in there that we introduced in order to safeguard the safety and security of the students when they use their debit card for transaction was to limit the number of transactions of 5 times a day. All right?
5 times a day?
5 times a day, right? For safety reasons. And when the students got hold of the card, they went on social media and they rant, right? They say that, hey, RHB, nowadays we make a lot of transactions now, right? So capping it at 5 times makes it very inconvenient. So it was that kind of comments that we received. We can choose the path or just digging the hole and bury our head inside and ignore those comments. Or we say, never mind, we admit there was it was a good intention, but it is not purposeful. How do we address that? And we immediately took that comment head on, and we said that, okay, we take out that security, and we explained to the audience that, thanks for all your feedback. These are all very valuable feedback, and because of that, we have actually changed this. So do continue to use it and let us know what do you think. And that post that we've made came to the originator who actually criticized the product, and he said good things about us. Because behind the scene, we never asked him to say anything. Behind the scene, we connected with him. We just want to say, thank you so much for your feedback. We just want to update you. This is what we have done. Keep doing well in your studies and enjoy our card. We just did that. We didn't ask him to actually say anything, but he voluntarily mentioned that post. We are genuinely concerned for the students and therefore willing to hear feedbacks and address that. And that's what is most important.
And the product was meant for them.
It was meant for them. It was created for them. And all the university students were like championing, say, yes, this is a huge organization willing to come that low to understand, listen, and make changes based on that feedback. And the positive mention that we have received outweighs the original negativity. That goes without saying, right? From a consumer perspective, as a human being, we understand that no one is perfect. But as long as you express or demonstrate genuinity in addressing the concerns that we have, we are okay. We are fine with that. And I think with that philosophy, I think that's how we grow the brand, right? That's how you build relationship in the longer term.
I was going to bring that up. I think it's a good segue to how RHB does festive films. Oh, by the way, congratulations on this year's Raya film.
Thank you.
Best of Festive YouTube Works Award, Southeast Asia as well, right?
Yes.
Congratulations. Was this based on true story angle, right? The strategy. Was it there when you joined, or did you bring that along?
It wasn't there in the first place, but it was a long history, right? So I think the reason why I joined RHB, they posed an interesting challenge. Again, an interesting challenge whereby we needed to refresh our approach in terms of connecting with our people. If you're not aware, it's a century-old organization. It needed to revitalize to connect with the younger generations. One of the key things that I realized when I studied the legacies of the organization, I thought that was a unique space for us to operate in. In whatever we do over the years, it's always about helping people. And therefore, we define our brand purpose very simply. It's all about making progress happen for everyone. Everyone in this organization, that is our number one mission. It's about how do we enable progress happen for any customers that walked into our branch seeking support. Based on that purpose, then we say, okay, we need to then start to connect with our community so that they know exactly what we stand for. And what better way to do so is through festive period. What we realize from festivity films is like it has the same allure as the Super Bowl in US, where everybody actually look out for materials for festive films. Without much effort, people will search you out versus that you putting an advertisement trying to get people to watch you, right? When we thought this is the right period for us, and then we try to understand all these festivities, right? Whether is it Raya, Chinese New Year, or Deepavali, they all have one common attribute that we realize. It's always about reflection of good memories. It's always about enjoying the present togetherness. And it's always about looking forward to a fresh start.
Yes.
Irregardless of what kind of celebration, it's always about all these three. And irregardless of what state of life you are in, whether you are in a very bad state or in a good state, these values persist in all festivities. Right? So therefore, we wanted to create something that resonates with them during this period because they are much more open to embrace any message that's coming from the brand. So here comes the idea behind using real life story. Why do we choose real life stories? Simply put, when you tell anyone out there that you can achieve progress, and they will turn around and say, it's easy for you to say, it's not that easy. There's always a naysayer in your mind, right? Say that you can't do this. So as a brand like RHB, we have the responsibility to spark confidence in people that you can achieve progress. If you have that strong desire, if you have the strong effort in making that happen, we would love to be the ally to make it happen for you, right? So therefore, we use real life story because there's a lot of nice stories around us that is not told, right? And if we can actually put this real life story in front during this festive period to showcase real life is not manufactured fiction stories.
Kudos on making that decision. I think it's great because I've been in presentations where one of the teams had a story presenting the client. The client straight away said, "Whoa, this is not our brand. This is an RHB kind of piece." So you kind of own that space really, which is great. You have pathed that clear way of festive films told by RHB. Which is really cool.
I mean, Jarrod, I think you hit the nail on the head. When we started this journey, it was a real challenge, right? We know there is great stories around, but sourcing them, finding the right one for the period, and also it has to be contextual also with the situation that's happening in the nation. It takes time. We do a lot of research together with our agency partners and stuff. But as you rightly put, as we continue to pursue on this path, year in, year out, it become ownable by RHB. And now we even have people voluntarily sharing their story to us. This is my story. In case you find it suitable, we are more than happy.
Which is great.
Which is great. So people are voluntarily offering their stories for us to consider. I love this statement, and a lot of people out there say that when we see these campaigns running from RHB, we are now seeing RHB as the people's champion. Because you are championing people's story, the true success, to ignite inspiration to others.
I have a question. By doing brand stuff like this, does it translate to sales?
Oh, interesting question. I receive a lot of those questions on our site. I must say that brand building work takes time. It's not like the next day when you wake up, I want a mortgage. Those are high involvement products, right? But if I ever happen to want the first brand that pops in mind, I kind of like RHB, what they are doing. I may want to check out that particular bank first. And that's what you want to do as a marketer, right? It's all about making sure that you continue to stay relevant, making people feel interested in you. And when the time comes, your brand pops up. So it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And you can see some of the comments on there, right? When people just watch our films and straight away some people make a comment, okay, after this, I'm going to the bank and opening an account, right? Some does happen immediately. But I guess it doesn't happen immediately because they may have watched our films multiple times and they start to see that consistency in the bank in terms of portraying that similar value, something that they resonate with, they believe in, and something that they don't mind taking that risk in starting that relationship with the bank. Let me give you some stats. Marketers love stats. We did an analysis behind in terms of the cost of capturing an eyeball watching your ads. Our festive films versus our normal marketing ads, it costs 10 to 15 times cheaper on our festive ads than our normal marketing ads. And we actually spend less on our festive films, but the impact it generates is much more. So that's from viewership perspective. You're able to get that reach that you want at a much more cost-efficient way. That's point number one. And point number two is the brand consideration. If you look at the festive ad, we never put a single product in there. But people know it's a bank. People know this is a bank that provides credit cards, deposits, and so on and so forth. And when we look at our trends in terms of account opening, post-festive periods, we start to see some spikes on certain accounts. We can never do a direct attribution to it. But there is a certain correlation that we do see.
There's a pattern.
There's a pattern. So brand building is a long haul, right? So you need to make sure their brand stays relevant. No one loves people pushing products right in front of face. We are in a human business. Let's engage and let's continue with that. One of the key things that we do during COVID was the fact that we continue to stay invested in our relationship with our customers. Many organizations during COVID, shop is closed, no business to be done. Let's put up marketing dollar. Let's not waste money because that is expenses. With no sales, let's not incur any expenses. The organization took the path. There's a lot of people out there with anxiety because it's the first time in the world that the whole entire
we're
world,
all locked in.
All locked in.
Yeah.
As an organization, we need to appease the community out there, telling them that we are here with you. So we continue to engage with them, to update them what is happening. And if you need any help, we will help you. If you have any mortgages with us or whatsoever, we will come in to do rescheduling or restructuring of your loans, deferred payment, so that we take that anxiety off you, so that you can focus in terms of your life. We did all this during that period when there's no business to be done. But the dividend paid off post that. Because when everything starts to open, customer says that if there's one bank that I would bank with, it's actually RHB, because you are there with us through thick and thin.
The most difficult time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a different question. Personally, do you use YouTube?
Yes.
You do, right?
Of course.
What do you watch?
Me?
Yeah.
I watch a lot of ads.
So you're an ad nerd like us as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I really appreciate great storytelling, especially coming from brands. It is an art, and brands that does this very well shows in terms of their results. And of course, I use YouTube a lot for hack tips lah. You know, sometimes I have some issues with my phone, my car. Okay, I need help. You know,
Same.
It's like my yellow pages.
For me, I try to learn stuff, right? I use it for tutorials or trying to learn, see reviews. But that means that there's so much thing out there, right? Because I think for marketer, the question, okay, Sunny, you say this kind of thing can help me make sales, but how do I get it seen, right?
Well, I guess in the period of festivity, it's all about noise. But it's also an opportunity for you to be differentiated. The initial steps was quite challenging because we are not known for what we are today. The secret formula is all about consistency, right?
Yeah.
I always believe it's about reach, frequency, and consistency. YouTube provides that platform. Frequency is all about your ability to tell the same message differently, creatively, and you do so consistently. And once you own that particular space, you've been seek out. You no longer have to work really hard to really ask people, tolong lah, can you please watch my film? You know, people say, okay, I will search you out, right? Because I know you done great job during this period.
It's consistency.
It's all about consistency, right? And we are typical human beings, right? We always fall back on what we are familiar with, right? And then we always look you out. Often than not, what I observe, a lot of brands try to actually explore. They're soul searching. The brand is actually soul searching itself, right?
Yeah.
What is the best thing I should be doing, right? But the danger here is if you do not find it soon, all right, you will be lost in the noise.
Because you don't commit.
You don't commit,
RHB does a lot of great ads that I don't want to skip.
In terms of marketing effort, what is the divide, and do you see a trend?
Yeah. Is there a strategy to it? Is there, just besides that main film?
If our aim as marketer is to connect with the community, we need to then start to understand where they are and how they consume or how do they lead their lives. There's a research that says that typical Malaysian spends 8 hours and 20 minutes a day. That is 1/3 of their daily lives, So you have to have that space, right? You need to find your way into their devices, right, to be visible. And you are not the only one. There's a gazillion brands or content creators out there are trying to do the same. So on a daily basis, you're exposed to thousands of contents.
Yeah.
You know, and how do you stick up?
After you've won Best Festive Film at Southeast Asia, right? Are there any key learnings with using YouTube?
First of all, we were quite stoked when we were told that we won the Best Festive Films at the YouTube World Asia, first for RHB. And we were even jubilated when we know that it was the first time for Malaysia brand. We discovered the fact that the impact of this campaign comes from the purpose that we were very committed to. It's about making progress happen for everyone. YouTube provided us the reach. And this award merely affirms the power of storytelling. Because if you tell great stories, story travels and fast. And I think YouTube as a platform, it allows people to actually engage and interact with the content that you have. And it spread like a wildfire. I remember when we launched this campaign, when I saw the results, it was quite immediate. And it was different than what we used to experience before. And I said, this could be something really special.
This is atomic, really.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, it is brewing really, really hot and fast. And the next day, it was exploded. And it all generated from YouTube, because from there, people then start talking. It became a national conversation. So much so that it sparked movements within the NGOs to come up with this hashtag MZB365. MZB is Maaf Zahir Batin. 365 is 365 days in a year. Because of that film tells the story about the power of forgiving, about giving people the second chance. Do not look at people's mistakes, look at their potential. And with that positive change, it creates ripples, impact to people's life. And this movement says that why only do it during Raya? Why not do it for the whole entire year?
Lovely.
And it was through this particular film that sparked that movement and action from people that really make us realize that if you have a platform like YouTube that allows you to go for the reach, the nucleus, you know, that actually contributed to the explosion is actually the content. The core of it is the content. So these two have to come together. So if you have the right content that connects well with people, and it was aired at the right moment, at the right time, YouTube will do the rest. Right? YouTube will then be able to disseminate this information out to the audience and allow people to interact and converse with it. And what makes this campaign successful? It was launched at a period where we saw a lot of social tension happening in the nation. There was this famous supermarket chain that was selling an item, socks. The socks that evoke certain emotions of certain segment of customers. And despite it was a human error, but people were not really forgiving for overlooking this. So we thought, okay, this was a perfect story to tell. It's like there's a power of forgiving and see the progress thereafter. The good thing about this Datuk Zaharia's story is that the character that we depict in the story is based out of real life. The three races were there. I think as a brand like RHB, we have that responsibility beyond just doing well in terms of our banking services and stuff. We have the obligation or the responsibility to bring people together.
Can I ask, when it comes to working with agencies, right? The unfortunate truth is sometimes ideas or campaigns come top down. It's like they insist on a certain way. What's your take on this?
I always believe in the principle that marketers shouldn't prescribe, because otherwise, why do you need an agency partner? They are good at what they do. We are good in terms of managing the business, the brand. You just work with them, set them free, just be clear in terms of your brief. Our relationship with our agencies has been very strong, year in, year out. And another stats for you also. There was a discussion whereby, should we continue to change our agencies just to refresh the way we do things on a frequent way? We realized when we look at our data that the agencies that we work for the longest time versus the agency which is actually on an ad hoc basis, we realized that the efficiency that we achieve is actually 50% more. That means the cost to produce a marketing campaign is 50% less with the younger agency, right? Because the agency that you work for quite some time understands your brand so much, they leave it like a brand manager. All right?
They become an extension of your department.
Exactly. They're extension of the team. And they are so passionate and they will care for your brand. No one wants to work on a brand to screw it up, right? Because it is like your baby. You make sure you nurture it correctly.
Correct.
So I have the belief in my agency to do the right thing for the brand. So when we go in with a challenge, we have an open mind, all right? And of course, I have a lot of my marketing team. We always remind each other, don't prescribe. open mind,
Yeah.
right? So we meditate like that before we go for the agency presentation. Kudos to the agency partner who was daring enough to put this on the table. As agency partners, you need to understand the client's concern too. And you need to be prepared to defend your idea. Often they're not, sometimes they don't really defend. They took it on a personal level. That's not it, right? I think the reason why client challenges is just to make sure that you future-proof your idea, right?
Yep.
You torture test that your idea can really, really work in many different manifestations. So the agency can prepare and defend why it should be done. And we say, okay, as a brand, I think we can take that risk, all right? And we go with this.
Okay, so in closing, we hope that this conversation helps, it sparks more conversations in agencies, with marketeers, or with both, but especially with like the young rebellious people out there in schools today who are like out there doing whatever and not knowing where to go in life.
The young Sunnies of the world.
The young Sunnies of the world,
Yeah.
right?
What advice do you have for them?
I always advise people that stay curious like a 6-year-old kid. Just remember how you were when you were 6-year-old. You're always asking questions, why? And I think that's what marketing is all about. You never take things at face value. You need to understand why it does this, why it happens this way, until you get the crux to the issue. Then you say, that is the reason why we should be doing it. And as a 6-year-old also, as a communicator, you have to make things simple. If your 6-year-old kid can understand what you say, I can guarantee you, everyone out there will understand you. It's all about simplicity. And if you are managing a brand, it's about nurturing a 6-year-old kid. If you are working in a kindy, taking care of a 6-year-old, how will you do it? You will nurture it to make sure that this person will grow up to be someone that you are proud of. So be that 6-year-old. And whether you use it in marketing or in any other things, any other fields that you go for, I think you will do well in life.
That's beautiful, man.
Yes, beautiful. Stay curious.
Yeah.
Be curious. We like to end on this.
Biggest pet peeve.
I think what we are as marketers, like stay curious. That gets swamped with all this evolution of technologies now with generative AIs and stuff like that. And people as marketers, you just jump into it so quickly, just so that you are not left behind. We just love those things that is shiny, right? I think it's no wrong in that. But be cautious in terms of how you use it, because it may bite you back. Always stay close to your consumer, the people. At the end of the day, those kind of technology are just mere tools that can help to improve the engagement level. Just like YouTube. Back then, we don't have YouTube. Now we have YouTube. It helps us to engage with our customers better at scale. At speed. And therefore, that's how brands are built. It's not throwing technology on the community that people do not know. One example I had was back in the days before COVID. We were trying to promote our mobile banking to our customers, the elderly customers. And at that point in time, we were trying to convince them to switch over. You don't have to travel all the way to the branch and then wait and to be served. Just use the mobile banking. And the customer says, no, it's not for me. Going to the bank is for me. Right? It's not the mobile banking. Okay, it's need-based. But after COVID, we saw them adopting mobile banking. Then I asked uncle and auntie, I thought last time you said this one is not for you. What happened? Oh, now it is for me. Because of physical distance. I don't need to come to the branch anymore. I can do everything easily on that. So it's all about timing. It's all about context. It's all about the right way of applying the tools that you have at the right moment, at the right time, at the right people.
Not just be blinded. Oh, it's new. Let's use it.
Let's use it, right? So that taught us a lot in the sense that hey, let's not jump it. Yes, you are curious, find out how it works. But when the time comes, they say, hey, this is how it can help me to engage my customer better. By all means, just try it. So what I always cannot stand is when people come and say, hey, this is in, let's do this. So why is it in for my customer, right?
Pet peeve, because from an agency point of view, sometimes we're guilty of it. Right? We find new technology and we feel like, oh, this is shiny, let's do this. Right? Now my question is a lot more casual and fun.
Who would you like to have dinner with? Is it Jesus, Gandhi, who?
Oh, that's a tough one, right? I guess it would be Steve Jobs. And the reason why is because he's not just a product builder, but he also redefined how brands are built, how brands is able to build an emotional connection with customer. And through that, how you build brand loyalty And nowadays you can see that, the brand that he gave birth to, there's a lot of huge following around the world for the work that he has done. So the reason why I would like to have a meal with him, I'm sure that he has a lot of things to say about the latest technology that we have and how this is being applied. And why I find it interesting to have that conversation with him. He's one person that sees brand beyond just a logo on a pack. But a brand that is able to connect with people emotionally. And how do you build that bond through time? While at the same time, he also pushes a lot of boundaries, not only on the technology perspective, but he pushes a lot of boundaries in terms of how the brand positions itself, how the brand could serve customer better so that they can have better experience, and how simple things can be. And that's how he changed the world. And I love what he says. If you believe that you can change the world, then you should be using Apple. I think that's stuck on my mind, So yeah, I think
That's your answer. Okay, that's great. It's truly been an honor to meet you, Sani. Like, you are truly a lifelong learner. Even this very end, you want to have dinner with Steve Jobs just to learn more things. Thank you so much for being here. And also thank you to YouTube for arranging this. We wouldn't have had time to talk to you if it wasn't for them.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure having a chat with these two young boys.
Don't skip the ad.
So that was the episode with Sani. I really had a great time.
Oh, I had a great time. Very inspiring. I think I had a lot of golden nuggets. It's a good one for marketeers. It's a good one for agencies.
Yeah, it made me question maybe I am cynical in that sense because we're so used to doing things a certain way. But Sani, you opened my eyes. I'm rooting for you. We are rooting for you.
Rooting for you. Rooting for marketers to be more like you.
Yes. And I love the fact that he's trying to inspire others to think differently, but at the same time, I know you like stats. Some stats. So this has been a great episode. Thank you so much for listening to
Don't skip the ad.